All right, good morning, good morning. I'm on my drive. It's May the 4th. Of course, I'm in Star Wars regalia. May the 4th be with you, May the 4th. It's Dress Down Friday at my school. Anyway, I'm calling. Today is my phone. I gotta get used to this blogging, video blogging. But anyway, I'm blogging today, right? Today's message is know the limits of your creativity. Know your limits of stretching the realm of reality. I almost like to call this, don't go full Kanye, you know, and I'm still a Gemini, so I'm also in between on, you know, calling him full crazy, calling him full bad. So that whole thing is going on right now. Even though Kanye has been questionable for years, so the fact that he may stay questionable may last for years too. Anyway, the whole blog today is about when you're writing, don't go full crazy, don't go full anything, the wildest thing you can imagine. Even though people do the wildest things in their stories, even though people write the wildest scene that you think they could write, you know, there's a limit. There's a limit because even when you see wild things in the media that you could not possibly imagine, it's still that's people got to accept reality, you know. So there's no question around that. Reality is allowed to be stranger than fiction. That's an unwritten rule, because if you write fiction stranger than reality, you pull that rubber band back too far, you stretch that freedom of creativity too far, it will pop. And people will be like, come on, that's not believable. Come on, that doesn't make sense. I'll say it, I'll be in the theater like, that was a real bailout. How the hell they had that and all this time and they never used it? Or, you know, who knew she had that power? Come on, you know, I was saying that in Wonder Woman. Even though I liked the movie, I was like, come on now. You know, I'm saying she had magic grow bracelets, you know, that grew right along with it. They fit her perfect when she was 9. Now she's 20 or 19. Now they still fit her perfect. So, you know, you got to be careful. And those are like writer's block bailouts. Those are overlooked, romancing the character. You don't want to romance your character too much and give your character some weird solution or some extra intellectual power, you know, to be able to solve a problem. You know, you have to set it up. If the key is in the room, you got to put a box that it was in before, you know, when they enter the room, so that, you know, somebody knew, you know, have some clue that it was there all along. Don't have a scan of the room. Don't describe the room. Don't draw a picture of the room and there's no box in there. And then all of a sudden they get into a jam. There's the box and they never saw it before. And then they open it up and there's the key and it lets them out. That's ridiculous. So you got to go. You got to have some limits to it. Even and really a lot of this stuff can be in your rewrites. You know, so don't think, you know, this. I'm going to do a whole blog on tools, common tools that writers overlook. So, you know, rewrites is one of those. So in your rewrites, that's what you do. You're like, oh shoot, I need them to get out of this. So when can I have them mentioned? Maybe a bum on the street, you know, Friday the 13th, you know, they drive into the camp and the dude says, yo, don't go there, it's a demon. You know, they pay him no mind. But that seed was planted. So that's what you do in your rewrites. He didn't have to be there in the first draft of Friday the 13th, but the second draft, third draft, you know, start catching your things. You'd be like, damn, well, how do they know this is crazy? Or I need something next to trip people out, you know? The movie that I'm doing right now, The Death Pledge. I've shot the movie already. I got 2 or 3 scenes that I want to just add layers. There's certain things that didn't come out in the story, you know, from when I read it on paper when it was a screenplay, that will work, you know, that will really help it. It'll give it some range. Dude, I am God of my story. I'm the CEO of my story. Whatever the heck you want to call it. I'm captain. I'm coach. I'm player coach. Whatever the heck you want to use to understand that you have the full freedom to do whatever you want to do with your stories. I mean, they even have director's cuts. So that way, after you release the film, if there's still some stuff that you thought you should have put in there that you didn't put in there, you still can mention it, even if you don't show it. They got deleted scenes, so if you cut things and you still want to show them to people, you can show it, the deleted scenes. So, there's a lot to do it. And so, like what I say, don't go full crazy. Don't get too carried away with your stories or the things that you create. That's the bottom line. Know the limit. Don't go full Kanye. I'll give you another example of that because I've been talking so much. Let me try to give you another example. Probably in me, my my second movie, Gold Digger Killer, right? I had a scene. It opens with a girl committing an abortion with, in the script, it had been a coat hanger, and the directors that I hired, no, not the director, the director kind of didn't agree with that. Actually, the guys that did my first film, Holla If I Kill You, the Polonian brothers, they gave me a critique of the screenplay that said, maybe it's easier to shoot a turkey baster. Now, maybe this was cultural. I had never heard of a turkey baster abortion. They're all crazy. I heard of women jumping down the stairs to get rid of their babies. I heard of, women shaking Coca-Cola and getting rid of their babies with the acid from the Coca-Cola. Who knows? Maybe that works too. Maybe like in the first couple of days, you do that. That's like an acid rinse. Have no idea. I mean, the one jumping down the stairs and hemorrhaging yourself, that might work too. Maybe they all work. It's crazy. That's why, they legalize abortions because, as sinful as people may feel it is still more humane than some of the things that women were doing. So I was trying to portray that in my beginning of my film was, how brutal, or not brutal, let me say that how extreme or the extremes that women will go to, people, because I don't see them as different than people, right, will go to save their lives when they think their children, having a child will mess up their lives. Maybe save the child life when they don't think they're ready. There's a whole lot of reasons why people commit abortion. I would say commit. That sounds pro-life, and I'm pro-choice. So I would say people do have an abortion. So that probably is a more respectful way to say it. But in my story, I did that, and it was supposed to be a coat hanger. We changed it to a turkey baster, and still, I had people saying, "Oh my God, I don't want to watch the rest of the film. This is the first scene in the movie," and people's like, "Oh my God." I was like, "How are they gonna get to the Lorena Bobbitt scene where the penis gets cuts off?" And all the other stuff that the rape scene. There's a whole lot of harsh scenes in that movie. And it was at that point that I realized, whoa, if I had done the coat hanger and, we would have shown some blood and a pull, whoa, I would have lost everybody. I might have gained some of the gore community, but there's a very small community in horror that is gore. So it was at that point that I realized, there's a limit. I mean, that was a visual limit because people see things and sometimes it's too extreme. But then I'll think of written things. I'll give you another written example. Take the book Push that became the movie. What's the movie? The movie Precious, right? There was so much in that book. The book was like notorious. You know what I'm saying? It'll break you up if you try to read it. And Lee Daniels, to his credit, softened it up. I don't know if it was after shot. He said, "Yo, we gotta do something to soften this up," or if it was in his original screenplay. But they decided to add some dream sequences where it takes her away, Precious, from her horrors that she's experiencing, because having your mom's rape you, they didn't even show that. Having your father alluded to raping you, that was bad. They didn't even really show the parents having sex with the baby in the bed, and I've heard kids going through that. When I used to work in HIV prevention in Miami, I was like, oh my God, at younger, 4 years old, 5 years, catching their parents having sex. I had one kid get his father's phone, and he was like, his father's girlfriend was sending the father sexual videos, not just pictures. And he was looking at his father's phone, watching his father's girlfriend, who was probably going to be his stepmom, doing some wild sexual stuff, probably show her vagina, all this other wild stuff, So when you hear these things, it's reality. And sometimes a writer, you want to try to outdo reality. Yeah, in reality, people do a whole lot of things. Jeffrey Dahmer ate people. There's people having sex with animals. Do anybody want to see you try to outdo that? Understand, that will totally change your genre. You understand? You can allude to it, possibly, but don't go full Kanye and try to outdo reality. Let reality do its thing. Let it marinate. That people eating faces. Now you can show that in a book. Now you can show that in a movie. But if you was to do people eating faces 15 years ago, somebody may have. Bath salts come from compounds that was already around. I don't know what crack did and LSD. They may have done some wild stuff. You know what I'm saying? But until it becomes so, there's a limit. So it's important to know society when you're writing. So there's a limit that you want to go. You know what I'm saying? Shoot, even in Push, they gave the backstories of every little girl in her class. Each one of them little girls was raped. One little girl's mother kicked her out. She was homeless. She became a prostitute. Another little girl was raped by her brother constantly. Another one was raped and beat by her stepdad. That story was so horrible. Forget. It was the most horrible story ever told to me. I've never read anything that horrible, except for maybe what happened in West Africa by the hands of the Muslims, 2000 season, and again, I want to put some of that stuff in there. That's kind of why I'm really looking forward to the Equalizer 2. I'm really looking forward to Massa Musa that Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler are doing, because I think that history of what happened to Africans before the European slave trade is very important, because Islam got a lot of sin under its fingernails like Christianity does. So you just got to know the limit, and mind you, you got to sometimes couple it, with historical fact. Okay, so you can't go full Kanye. I know I'm taking too long, so let me get off this. Thank you guys, I appreciate it. This is another tip. I'm going to be doing like 6 more of these. I want to go up to 10. So thank you very much. Peace out.